Hey guys, welcome back to Multi Recaps. Today I am going to recap a 2007 romance and comedy movie named Virgin Territory. So let's begin. In the beginning of the movie, we see a man who was painting in the church. Here he tells us that he has been painting for a long time, but till now, he has not got any payment, so he goes to the church's father to ask for some money. But here, he finds out that father has died due to a disease called plague. Now he gets very disappointed because now he will not get his payments. Then he looks at the father's dress. While wearing it, he decides to become a father because the father has no shortage of anything, money or respect included. In the next scene we see Lorenzo, who was running away in fear of Gerbino. Here he eventually manages to escape. Gerbino says his companions to capture Lorenzo on any cost, due to which Lorenzo's friends give him a horse and says him to leave the city. Lorenzo does the same. Next we see a girl named Pampania, who was crying because recently her parents also passed away due to the plague disease. Then Gerbino comes there and sympathizes with her, and asks what she will do now. In the answer of this, Pampania tells that, the king of Russia coming here soon, and I'm going to marry him. Hearing this, Gerbino tells Pampania that your father had taken too much debt from me, and now after his death all your property has become mine, and the only way to save this house is you'll have to marry me. On the other hand, we see Lorenzo running next to Gerbino's guards. Meanwhile, Lorenzo sees a man who was dumb and deaf. The man tells Lorenzo that he used to work as a gardener, but now he stopped working in that garden, so Lorenzo thinks that if he becomes dumb and deaf, then he can go there to become gardener. Then he'll have the job, and he will also be saved from Gerbino's men. Then he climbs on a tree, and Gerbino's men reaches, but suddenly the branch of the tree breaks, and Lorenzo falls down. Then some nuns come to him and takes him to church, and this was exactly where a gardener needed. Then the two nuns comes there. The nuns tells them that this man is dumb and deaf. After this, they hire him as a gardener. Next, while Lorenzo was taking a bath, the two nuns come there and join him. Here, seeing this, we can understand that's why the nuns wanted a dumb and deaf gardener, so they can do anything with him, and being dumb, he will not be able to tell anyone about it. Next we see Pampania in the church with her friends and their boyfriends. Here Pampania tells them she has a second home in that city where she will marry the king of Russia. Pampania tells everyone to come over there. Then Gerbino comes there and asks Pampania. Pampania lies, what you're talking about. They were just praying now, because the king of Russia had some time to come here. Actually, Pampania didn't want to be with Gerbino, so she makes a plan to stay in the church. It was the same church where Lorenzo works. After this, Pampania's friends also leave to visit her house. Next, in the church, while two nuns were preparing Pampania, she sees Lorenzo. The nun smiled and says that he works here as a gardener, also he is dumb and deaf. Sometime later, when a nun was taking Lorenzo inside the woods alone, Pampania noticed them and understands that what is going on here. But same time we also see that Pampania is feeling very jealous to seeing all this. King Georginsky also reaches to the palace, but here Gerbino tells him that now Pampania is going to marry him. After knowing this, Georginsky angrily leaves from the palace. But then a man tells him that Pampania is waiting for him in another house in the city. Hearing this, Georginsky leaves to go there with his comrades. On the other hand, when Lorenzo was in his room, then two nuns bring food for him. Now the rest of the nuns due to Lorenzo, and that nuns knew Pampania wanted it too. Even Lorenzo agrees to it. But the next day, when Pampania was bathing with two nuns, then she tells the nuns that whatever you guys are doing to Lorenzo is wrong. In the answer of this, the nuns says that there's nothing wrong with that, and you are just feeling jealous. Hearing this, Pampania gets very angry and she pours hot water correctly on Lorenzo's head. Seeing this, we can understand that Pampania has started liking Lorenzo. Other side, when Georginsky was going to meet Pampania, just then Gerbino attacks on Georginsky with his men. In the attack, all of Georgiansky's companions are killed, but Georginsky succeeds to escape from there. Pampania's feeling was increasing for Lorenzo. One day Pampania hears Lorenzo was singing a song. From this she learns that he is not dumb and deaf. Now one day she goes alone to feed Lorenzo. This time she had covered her face, so Lorenzo doesn't know which nun it is. Then Lorenzo is blindfolded by Pampinia and kisses her, and leaves from there. But this thing suits Lorenzo very much. After a few days it's time for Pampinia to leave. But she tells the head nun before leaving that Lorenzo is done deaf. Because he's been pretending from the start. Actually Pampinia did not want to see Lorenzo with any other nun. That's why she did it. Now that head nun comes to know about it, she immediately fires Lorenzo. Now Lorenzo was sitting outside when Pampinia passes by. Lorenzo requests Pampinia. Could she also takes him with her? Pampinia agrees to it. On the other hand we see Georginski, who sees a girl underwater. Then he starts talking to her. Here Georginski tells her that he is going to marry a girl named Pampinia. Hearing this the girl lies to him and says she is Pampinia. Georginski had never seen Pampinia, so he trusts her words, and here Georginski also likes that girl very much. On the other side Lorenzo and Pampinia arrive at his house. Now while they were talking, Lorenzo tells that he loves the girl very much, the one who had blindfolded his eyes that day, and he will marry her. On this Pampinia says, "How would you recognize her? Because you haven't even seen her face." Lorenzo says that I will find her on any cost, and marry her. So Pampinia says that, if you kiss someone else you will forget her, or if you are not sure about this, you can kiss me and see. Actually Pampinia also wanted that Lorenzo would find out that he had blindfolded her on that day. Now Lorenzo was getting closer to Pampinia. But then Gerbino arrives there with his guards. Seeing Gerbino, Lorenzo talks about fighting with him, and when the fight begins, Lorenzo can't stand with Gerbino. But Pampinia stops Gerbino from killing him, and says that, if something happens to Lorenzo, I will not marry you. Hearing this Gerbino does not kill Lorenzo. Now Pampinia feels that Gerbino could kill Lorenzo at any time. For this she asks Gerbino to get married now. Same time, she also says him that, after marriage he would have to leave Lorenzo. Gerbino sitters this bet, and sends 2 guards to give father. Then father came. When he was talking to Pampinia, then Pampinia gives money to him, and tells that she don't want to marry him, so he delays the wedding as much as he can. The father also ready to do by taking the money. Here 2 Gerbino's guards go to release Lorenzo into the woods. They had a plan to kill Lorenzo, but before that, Lorenzo kills them. Then he sees direction. On the other hand Pampinia and Gerbino start getting married. During this father starts delaying the marriage for Pampinia, due to which Gerbino gets very angry. He scares the father with his sword, and says him to do it quickly, but father continuously doing the same out of fear. Then Georginski also comes over there. Seeing the gun in his hand Gerbino starts running from there. At the same time Lorenzo comes there too, and then Georginski and Lorenzo together kill all of Gerbino's guards. Eventually Georginski fights alone with Gerbino, in which Gerbino is unable to stand in front of him, and his sword falls down. Georginski asks Lorenzo to come and fight with Gerbino. Georginski tells Lorenzo on this, that if you can't kill him I will kill him, and then Gerbino starts fighting with Lorenzo by standing at the well. But during this fight Gerbino falls into the well, due to which he dies there. After all this Pampinia comes and tells Georginski that she cannot marry him because she is in love with Lorenzo. Here Georginski says her that, you are not that Pampinia whose I met in the lake, and I want to marry the same Pampinia. In that time, the girl from the lake comes there from behind. But here we learn that the girl is none other than Pampinia's friend Melissa. Georginski is very happy to see Melissa, because he loved her. Then Pampinia turns to Lorenzo, and has proposed for marriage. But Lorenzo says that I want to marry the same girl, due to which my eyes were blindfolded that day. Hearing this Pampinia asks Lorenzo to kiss her. He understands that girl is Pampinia, the one who had blindfolded him that day, and he agrees for the marriage, and that's how the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.